With this film, as we do this review, I think there's no better way to start off than this. Hey everyone, Jedi Mike 7 here, and I'm back with another video. And today we're going to be going over Thor: Love and Thunder. And today I'm going to bring up co-host Jay King. Jay King, how you doing?
I'm gonna get you for that goat noise.
What? Wait, what goat noise? I don't know what you're talking about.
Seriously?
Well, I mean, unlike this film, they literally
Yeah.
they keep doing this. So
I mean, I found it funny every time. It's just
okay.
Come on, man, stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen this film, you know what I'm talking about. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
But but today we're going to be talking about Thor:
Thor,
Love and
Love
Thunder.
and Thunder. Which
So
that title has a lot of meaning to it, but we'll get to that.
right, yeah. But yeah, I just want to give what is your first thoughts? At least just it's gonna be a spoiler review.
Mhm.
Everyone. Before we get start with the review, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share, and let me know your thoughts of this film as we get into our spoiler review. If you have not seen the film, please go back and watch it, and you go back and watch this video. But yeah. What was your thoughts, man? By the way, expensive as hell. That's just very expensive. You go to AMC theaters, you can get this. You can get this limited edition. Though you put it back on the screen. Yeah, Mjolnir. You get AMC theaters. The thing costs about $40.
Mhm.
Lunchbox in there. Open it.
Okay, hold on a
Yeah,
second.
but
This
no.
way. There, this way.
Yeah, open up like that. Yeah, so yeah, you can go get that. You want spend your money on that? Go ahead if you want to, but you know, yeah. But anyway, J. King, what was your thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder?
Okay. Well, I mean, I already had my thoughts seeing it the first time. Of course, you and I saw it together last night. I also saw it again this time in 3D today, and after seeing this movie, I have to say I actually like this a lot better than Ragnarok. And the reason for that, and I'll get why, is the difference between how Taika did that movie versus how he did this one. Of course, Thor Love and Thunder, the first of the OG trilogy of the MCU to actually get a fourth movie outside of the Avengers films and outside of course, the upcoming whenever we get it fourth Spider-Man movie, for example. He's the only one like solo character wise to get a fourth movie. And well, again, if you've seen the movie, then you know that he most likely will also get a fifth movie potentially, but we'll get to that point. But and thoughts on the film, as I said, I like this a lot more than Ragnarok, and I actually enjoyed this a little more than Multiverse of Madness that we got a couple months ago. I think we can all agree on that. And I think the reason for that just came in how this was presented to us. Thor Love and Thunder basically being the story of Thor trying to discover who he is, after he's basically lost everyone, lost his father, lost his mother, lost his brother about 3 times, though one still exists, but he doesn't know that yet. Lost Asgard, lost the love of his life for that moment. He all he had was just Stormbreaker, Korg, and the will to get himself back in shape after being Fat Thor in Endgame. But this movie was really of a self-discovery. But at the end of the day, this film, and the reason I like it a lot, is this film tying with all the Thor movies. Thor 1, Dark World, and Ragnarok is the story of finding the beauty in broken pieces and a broken life that Thor has basically found himself in at this point. And I'll explain more, but I'll let you, what you have to say. Because you've seen it about twice. Well, you saw it before we saw it.
And I saw it. No, I saw it twice.
Mhm.
Um, let me get the solo cam on this one.
I knew you were gonna bring the glasses out.
Listen,
Where's the turtleneck?
oh, not today. It's hot as fuck.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know it's like 90 degrees
hot as
still
fuck.
today.
But anyway, ladies and
But
gentlemen,
where's the notepad?
ladies and gentlemen, Mike here. All right, listen, I'm not a I'm a comic book fan, Marvel and all this stuff like that, but I'm now about to be 24 years old, and I'm not a child anymore. I can laugh, have a good time, but when there's some things when the joke has been run too long, and when they do things over and over and over again, like when they do jokes about like, hey, let's talk about orgies, um, hey, let's talk, having
You are
this
not invited to the orgy.
right, or hey, uh, let's just speed up and not, we got time. Like this is like we gotta get up. We don't want to spend time with characters and have them be fully developed. We can just we gotta go. To me, I said Marvel. We need to talk because I think at this point I'm feeling like Marvel is like, if you enjoy Ragnarok, I think you might like this film. But there's one thing of that Taika Waititi does is that in his films is like he does a thing where it's like you get when you try to play like an emotional storylines with a comedic tone to it, right? But the problem of that is that that's kind of like, I'm not saying like a one trick pony, but it's just like it gets to a point where when you play that trope again, it only gets repetitive, it gets redundant, And I gotta say, unfortunately for Thor, it's like you have to accept this now. Thor's now the clown of the MCU. They now like you have to accept it now, right? Now
I
this is not
mean,
really testament of
I,
of
I mean,
Chris
I wouldn't.
Hemsworth as an actor, or anything, but it's just like, yeah, that's to accept the fact that hey, we don't take this character seriously anymore. Whether it might be jokes of how they keep things going on and on over again, like jokes like yeah, just one of many of the jokes that
You
they
just
do
had to, didn't you?
that's
You
continually
just
present.
had to,
Like,
didn't you?
I'm keep repeating it because the film keeps repeating it. But hey, it's just but not only that, when we'll get to it, like in the next like 5 to 6 minutes, like there are things as a character that Thor does in his third act that to me is like I see him differently now. Like I'm like, if you were able to do this ability that he does in the third act, and you didn't do this in Infinity War and Endgame and all the other stuff, like forget you, forget you. I mean that was the only thing with that. I will say this, going to like Natalie Portman was the best part of this movie, but I felt, in my opinion, it's almost like you should take Chris Hemsworth out of this movie and just have it be about her. Like this, because this was an Academy Award winning actress, and you can tell that she didn't want to come back for Thor 2, but she won't come back for this, and I know why. But even then, they still like handcuffed her almost in a way where like not fully letting her go all out with this role and her performance. Same thing to like Christian Bale. Like I felt that with him, I thought he's an amazing actor, but what they did is just like very very limited him, in terms of what he could have done fully with this role. Um and that really that frustrates me because he gets put back into the stereotypical Marvel villain trope, but I know his performance was so intriguing every time he was on screen that I wanted more of it. And that was, to me, just like that just like left me very, very frustrated. Um but yeah, but how you felt about with Jane Foster and Gore when we get to it, yeah.
Well, I mean, first to comment on Thor being the comedic character, I have to say I can understand that. I wouldn't say that he is the most comedic. I think that still goes to the Guardians, which we'll see them next year. But in terms of the vibe of the story and what you said before, I talk about Gore and about Jane and how I felt about their performance in this film. I say You could definitely say that about Ragnarok. You can definitely say about Ragnarok, it was a lot more jokey. It was a lot more comedic there. And you could also maybe say that about this film, but in my opinion, after seeing what Taika did with films like Jojo Rabbit, he has the ability to balance out the humor with the emotion. Now, was the humor something that was presented a lot more when it comes to this film, thanks to like the marketing, the trailers, some things that we had seen? Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, because some of the emotional stuff obviously would be a little spoilerish that they didn't want to reveal. And I can understand that. But for me, what I took away was the wholehearted story when it came to the characters of Odin's son, Jane, and Gore, and also Korg and Valkyrie, and how that all went. I'll talk about that third act moment in a little bit, but honestly, I was just more attached with the story that they were trying to do and the story of basically mortality. As Thor even said within there, like, you don't know how much time you got. Like, he and many of the other gods that we see there, like, they're seen as gods, but even they could have been killed by somebody like Gore with the Necro sword and all that. And hell, like, multiple Asgardians, like, well before this have died. Odin died, Frigga died, Heimdall died. We'll talk about a little bit of Heimdall in a minute again, but again, like they're not really as immortal as they present themselves, and focusing on that mortality and focusing to choose love and to choose to live in the moment. That was something very personal that I really liked, and something that actually hit me. I think when I saw the film twice, like thinking about that again, I can understand, with phase 4, this has been probably the most divisive phase out of the entire MCU. One, because some people aren't for all the things that are going on. They're not for the new characters that are being introduced, or we don't know what Thanos-esque event it's all leading to yet. We'll maybe find out about that in the next like 2 weeks or so, but right now we don't know. Um and I know that this film has been very divisive, with people liking it, people hating it, people being mad about it, or at least in the middle about it. In my opinion, I liked it. Now, in terms of Gore and Jane, I think mixing the God Butcher storyline with the Jane Foster Mighty Thor storyline, both from the great Jason Aaron run, was probably something I didn't know how well it was going to flesh, but I actually liked how it worked, because these were both characters that were, in a sense, running out of time or trying to achieve a better life in a way. For Gore, that was to get rid of all the gods, so that way there was no selfish beings out there to not fulfill their duties to people like they had to him and his daughter. For Jane, that was her having to battle now stage 4 cancer, and being like, oh, with Mjolnir that has an enchantment, because Thor accidentally put an enchantment on it a couple years ago, she can beat the mighty Thor, but her time is running out because the lightning and the powers of Mjolnir burn out all of the effects of the chemotherapy and everything that has been trying to save Jane. Again, these two stories actually work because they're two people running out of time and trying to make the best of it. I actually like how those two themes from both stories merge. Now, when it comes to it, I do have to say my biggest gripe when it comes to this whole thing is that it felt like it could have been a little bit longer. So we could have fleshed out more when it came to Gore, or when it came to someone like Astrid, Heimdall's son, which Heimdall had a son. I would have liked to know a little more about when did that happen, and also his abilities. We know he has similar abilities to his father, but we don't know necessarily if there's any differences or anything like that. I think, I don't think that's the end of the character, but I would have liked to know a little more. I say that's my only gripe really, is just that I wish we had a little more time to just flesh out a little more. I'm satisfied, but I just wish there's a little more. And not talking about any deleted scenes that we'll get once this movie comes out on digital or on Blu-ray. I'm talking about the film itself just could have had a little more. I'm not disappointed. I just wanted a little more. Which you could also say about Doctor Strange, but for this, really, I wanted a little more because I was enjoying what they were presenting. I just wanted a little more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But one of the things is like, and I didn't want like we kind of like wrap this up like about 5 minutes, but like in what they were doing, this has like this film, it has not really have no any type of bigger like affects the overall greater story of the MCU. Like again, when we just came off of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, is like again, with that whole thing they were trying to set up is not was like trying to move the story further, at least than what they anticipated what they wanted to be. But this film, like, there's concept they brought in this film that's like, okay, we should not gloss over this. Like, there's a character like the Eternity, like
Yeah,
that's a
like
big
we
that's a
have
big
like this whole council of like, greater
but
cosmic beings. Like the one we
no, yeah,
focus
but
on
like
is eternity, but there's like this whole council that we just introduced. One, we've seen Uatu, we've also seen the Celestials, but the rest of them we haven't seen yet.
yeah, but like even then, it's just like some things that were kind of glossed over. Even the point of like with Jane, like her transformation, like okay, how did she became mighty Thor? It's just like we look at her go up to the hammer, and then they cut away, and then all of a sudden we see this scene, and I'm like, I know for a fact they shot a scene of her transformation, and I'm like, why didn't they not show us this instead of you like,
Right,
like,
right.
oh, like but like this is my point. It's like they kept there are a lot of things that you kept cutting out. I knew there's supposed to be a longer cut of this film, but it would just felt to me like my frustrating thing was just like, okay, they try to rush the story, a lot of characters that let little be desired, and again, like not letting these actors who I know who have this caliber of like moving forward, like caliber of like of fully embracing this role, they just pull back from them, and then following with this whole cancer storyline, I think they just didn't go far enough with it. It just could, and then that's because how rushed the story was. Yes, you got Korg, being community element to it. Valkyrie feel like she's just there. Even then, just like her arc more in Ragnarok than this because she's just like she's in there just to tag along. But like in Ragnarok, it's supposed to be like, oh well, she's coming from like she doesn't want to be in the fight anymore because of what happened during her tragedy, which they refer back to this, in this movie. But then they fully there was not really no resolution of her character, at least right in this film. But going to what they after we have Christian Bale supposedly died and also Jane Foster died and stuff like that was just the best part to me was like their performances. I just wish they immersed them more. But again,
Yeah.
going back to Thor, it's like the decisions that he make in this movie, like it just to me was just really stupid. Like what they did with with these children that got captured at the end. Um, it
Okay, yeah,
makes
we
me
do
it makes me
we do
hold
need
on,
to
hold on,
talk
but
about that.
it makes me look more like to him as a character. That I'm like, why? All right, so you have this ability now that you didn't have before, and then in battles that we really could have done. Like I would just have really like lost the words. But and I
Do
know
you
I'm
want
not the
me to
only one
do,
that
do,
felt
do you
about
want
this.
me to
But
try and do you want me to
but
try and maybe have an idea of why or how at this moment he was able to do
Well,
it?
no, because we're gonna do a spoiler discussion of this, so it's not like
Hmm.
we can go on with that in another video because like that
Yeah.
for further explaining that thing. It's just more of like giving our thoughts on like that moment of that happening. Well, one of the moments that happening because we haven't gotten to the end, which we're gonna get into.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that to me, I've just felt like I liked in terms of the visual elements of this film what they did when Christian Bale came through, like giving like a Sin City type vibe. But then
Hmm.
also there was also just some bad CGI just when it didn't need to be. Like there's like two scenes I know for a fact like looking at uh uh Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman like and it's not like this scene right here. It's another scene when they first meet like their face was just like just so kind of like distorted a little bit and like almost like they had like Botox or something. And I'm I I was just kind of just like lost what like some of the thing and then
Well,
like
I mean, I could definitely see that, like, in that scene with Thor and the whole helmet, and of course, like, it was gonna be weird because we had them like graphing the helmets on. Like for Thor, he had it for like once, and then he got rid of that. For Jane, that happened like a few times, not a lot. There were some scenes where she had the helmet on, other scenes she didn't, which I can understand why. I mean, in the comic, no one knew who she was, but here we knew. So of course they were gonna go back and forth to give Natalie Portman, as much, face screen time as she could. I can understand the CG on some parts. I couldn't really tell that much, but I could definitely tell a little bit.
no yeah you have to like I have to pay attention to this because like I when I see scenes like I'm looking at this, I literally lean in front of my seat like what like oh
Oh yeah, you
I've
were.
seen this
You
and I was
were.
like wait no like I was like what why did even then, like there were certain scenes of like with Thor with his costume, like the new one he got like a full armor that he only
Yeah,
wore
the
once,
golden one.
the golden only once, and I'm like, Like, okay, what was that scene for? But
I
regardless,
I I
yeah,
I I think you just put that on to like be like, oh, you're copying my color scheme. Let me flex another suit on you because I don't want to match. That's really it,
yeah,
I
no,
think.
yeah, but one thing I didn't notice is that in this film they added more personality to, um, not only Mjolnir but like Stormbreaker. Like they
Oh
almost
yeah.
like refer to them as like pets in this. You know, like
Well,
even then
I
this
mean,
scene of him right here, he's talking to him, or
uh-huh.
the with Stormbreaker, and almost treat him like a side hoe. But anyway, like
That's not your line. You know whose line that is.
right, but
Yeah,
no,
but I have to say when it comes to the personality wise, I mean, I do expect that because the cosmic, at least with Mjolnir, the cosmic storm within it, and these sentient weapons have had somewhat of a mind of their own. I mean, why else do you think there have been points where he's not been worthy or things like that? Like they grow a sense of their own. I mean, heck, in the comics right now, Odin is the sentience of Mjolnir. So I expect things like that. I say it was funny for what it was. Stormbreaker being like, "Oh, you're going back to your ex now. What am I? What am I, a side piece or something like that? Am I a side hammer?" That was a little funny. I will say that was a little funny. But I do expect a sentience thing from these weapons, though. That didn't bother me.
yeah, I don't know. It just I like that. I was just like, okay, that's kind of funny, but like, yeah, it just also another character we didn't talk about was Russell Crowe with his 5 different accents in this
I
film.
I applaud him for trying the Greek accent at the least.
Yeah, no, cause one thing they emphasize, there are many gods. I forgot the place where all of them hang out, where Zeus is. But
It was called the Omnipotent City or something like that.
yeah, but with that, it's just basically Zeus, like his personality, like he's top dog and he's very arrogant,
Hmm.
and selfish and all that stuff like that. But I mean, when you're Zeus, I kind of get it. But I did
Yeah.
like that element where it's like Thor was a fan of him because he was a god of
Yeah,
lightning,
I
and
like that
then
as well.
yeah, so that just made sense, there. But with that whole world, I felt again there was a missed opportunity. What they could go and dive deeper with the whole concept of gods, because like this whole there's many different gods in that room, and I'm like, okay, like hey, there's a Black Panther goddess boss is like sitting right in front of y'all,
Hmm.
or hey, like, but we don't know, like,
And and
okay,
and that dragon was of the same race as the one we saw in Shang-Chi. I did find out about that.
but like right, but I'm just saying like you don't know, like no, and at point it emphasizes you really care, like
Mhm.
as a viewer watching this, I'm
And and there
like
were
it's
celestials there. I didn't catch it the first time. There were celestials there when they left.
there were two Celestials there, like guardian
Hmm.
Celestials, but it was just like my thing I wanted from this film was at least just give emphasis on the greater scope of the MCU. Like I'm not saying gotta be an end game, but like okay, explain the hierarchy of power of like gods in the or celestials, internals, whatever it might be in this universe. Because as of right now, we still haven't gotten anything more of that, and then what we're like almost to the conclusion of phase 4, and then it's just almost feeling like, okay, well, who cares? But yeah, let's go walk into eternity and just ask for a wish. Okay, why do I need the Infinity Stones to actually wipe out half the universe? Why can't I just go find eternity? It's just oh wait, there's Lady Mistress Death, like no the with the statue of death, in Marvel Comics. There's Watu the
And
Watcher. There's like
and and not only that, but technically now, and I think this is a thing, the Gore's daughter getting resurrected. I think she is now resurrected, but as one of those cosmic beings now. Because if you look in the river, like before we saw her, she looked like a cosmic person. I'm forgetting who someone said she might potentially be a reincarnation
is
of.
a character
Now
is a
we have her
character
as well.
No, there's a character called Love or whatever, but she's supposed to be
Yeah, yeah,
birthed
yeah.
out of
That's
eternity.
who. Yeah, yeah.
But even then,
By
we're
the way,
like,
that was played by Chris Hemsworth's actual daughter. I did not find out about that till
yeah,
this morning.
yeah,
Hmm.
no, that was his daughter, and like at the end of the film of them walking together, if like I like if you watching this film, you can smile like at it. It's just more to me, it was just kind of like, okay, you're throwing children into this battle, but yet as an actor, like Chris Hemsworth can do this. Like he
Yeah,
put over 10
yeah,
years of work, and I'm
he
like,
can
you
do
can
that
do
with his
this.
daughter.
So like, hey, you know what? If this is a joke for y'all, all right, go ahead. Have and like Christian Bale's kids was in this movie. Natalie Portman's kids were also in this film. Taika
They
Waititi,
were?
yes, yes.
Oh wow.
Um, kids were also in this film. So like, it just like having a part for them to
Mhm.
participate in. Okay, cool. But I wanted to address here, and then we can end this review. Is like talking about the
Mhm.
ending. Not only that,
Oh, the two end credit
Jane,
scenes. Yeah.
yeah, not only that Jane went to Valhalla,
Valhalla.
and then we see Idris Elba go there,
Heimdall.
and
Yes.
welcome her there and everything. That was it. But the bigger scene was that after Zeus that supposedly died, but then he was basically no, he was fine, and
Mhm.
talking about as a god that hey, we were treated like like scum and everything. When do we become a joke? And then that basically um,
His
he was talking
son
to his son Hercules, and who
Achilles.
will
Yeah.
basically be setting up the not saying as a villain, but just as a potential like
Rival
foe,
to
like
Thor.
rival to Chris Hemsworth's Thor. Because
Mhm.
so those you guys to know who Hercules is in Marvel, not just in the mythology. Hercules, much as he's a god, the son of
Mhm.
Zeus, and Thor is the son of Odin.
Mhm.
Been many different like rivalries in the Marvel comics. He's not actually a villain, so like he's actually
No,
part of the
he's
Avengers. So
yep.
it's nothing to really have anybody to be um fearing about him being not a villain or anything like that. But he's also been toe to toe with Hulk as well
Mhm.
as being a foe for him, just like in them fighting all the time. But yeah, and I forgot the actor whose name is the actor his character plays a character called Ray Clark or something or so
Yeah,
I forgot what
I
it's
think
called, but um
yeah. I can't remember where he's from, but like I've seen the actor before. But yeah, Hercules is here. Um, and again, like as you said, he's not really a villain. He's really he and Thor have like this rivalry, but at the end of the day, Hercules is still an ally to him and an ally to the Avengers. I mean, I think at even one point, like yeah, it was in the original Civil War. He took on that fake Thor because he felt like it was disgracing Odin's son. So again, it's just like a petty rivalry that will probably not last more than just whenever we see their squabble happen. But I do want to talk about both of those end credit scenes a bit before we end, just how I feel about them, and also, just a little bit. I'll go into it like quickly.
right.
Okay, so the first one, the Hercules one, I think this definitely, at the very least, and we might hear about this in the next 2 weeks, confirms maybe Thor might be getting a fifth one. And you're saying about wanting to explore more the pantheon of the gods. I think we might at the gods side at least might get that then. I think the reason they had the whole omnipotent city and we saw Boston, Zeus, and the great protector and everyone was to set up this war of the gods that's going to make its way to earth. It's a semi war of the realms, if you will, except it's the gods trying to be back in power and be feared again and everything like that, with Hercules potentially leading the charge to then maybe become an ally and then join the Avengers afterwards with Thor after that. I could definitely see that being a thing, and I won't be opposed to that. That definitely sounds pretty cool, a war of the realms, but it'd be the gods against earth. And who knows, maybe we get some more characters of the Thor mythos. So I see that, and I am excited for that, and I am glad. I mean, we knew Hercules was going to at least be mentioned at some point since Zeus was in this, so we kind of saw that happening. But with Jane in Valhalla, first off, it was great to see Heimdall again, but I think given the fact of how many realms that we have been exploring within the MCU, the Duat, the Veil in Miss Marvel, the Ancestral Plane in Black Panther, the many realms we've been seeing, of course, with the many universes, I think this does leave it open for Jane to come back. I know we let her die, but they would have put that scene in the movie and not in the post-credit scenes if, it was just like a done after that. Because in the comics, she does go to Valhalla, but then she does come back and later on takes up the mantle of Valkyrie. But I at least think they'll leave it open for either that fifth Thor that might happen, or maybe a Futures Avengers film where the Earth is calling her and she'll come back. In terms of those two post-credit scenes, one, I'm glad that the second one wasn't a joke. I was getting a little tired of that. The second end credit scenes being a joke. Um, but those do leave me a little hopeful for where things are going forward. Again, I know this phase is probably the most divisive, but I do still have, we've talked about this before off of this video. We talked about this before yesterday about why I think Phase 4 is the way it is, and maybe we'll get into that in like a separate type of video or something. But in all honesty, let's go. Let's see where this type of war goes at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be doing a spoiler discussion later in another video. To be on the lookout for that. But
Mhm.
yeah, all I gotta say is, like, to me, I'm not saying I was like disappointed. I'm more like, again, just like my feeling more of meh. It's just, to me, what I'm seeing is that the Disney. Let's conclude with this, is that the Disney Plus shows, I feel like, are surpassing the movies at this point, at least when Phase 4. 'Cause as of right now, to me, there's only two out of all the Phase 4 movies, to me, like Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, even though Spider-Man's not even a Marvel, more Sony. But
But
I
it technically
like,
still is in ways.
yeah, but I mean, but that, again, like, studio level, like, that was Sony. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
I felt like, to me, as a fan, like I said, as later on we get through this month, I think, like, more information about Marvel, what to go do moving forward, to me,
Mhm.
hopefully give us more answers on that. But
Look out for
yeah,
the Comic-Con people.
yeah, but make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let me know what you guys thought of Thor: Love and Thunder. If you have seen it, make sure you go now comment section down below and let me know. Let us know your thoughts. Till next time, it's J King as your Mike 7. All right, peace.
Hey,